Well, this is a fun little assortment I have here, isn't it? This is a video I've thought about, and like most others, thought about it, put it on hold, tried to get the equipment, waited until it was a good time to actually try to do the video, and like others, here's my spread for today. So, I wanted to compare an original Nintendo power adapter plus the Chinese knockoffs. Now you can have something like this one here, which is quite obviously just generic, versus a actual clone, which I tried to find an Australian one, and I can show you what I came across. First was that, and then there was this. Into it. So what I'll do is I'll grab out the original 3DS. If I remember correctly, this was actually on special. So first off, you can obviously see there's a colour variant between the different plastics. And also this is in an Australian one, which is really unfortunate. I was hoping to get an Australian to compare with, but unfortunately, no. Still, when we take a look at the back of the device, at least the voltage looks correct. So 4.6 volts, 900 milliamps. And it's also compatible with, well, every voltage on the planet that's at least mains in most developed countries. So this should be quite comfortable to use here. And while my electronics knowledge isn't as well detailed as I would like, I'm still hoping you can actually find sort of like the difference. That's an interesting one. Well, they sound different, although that doesn't really mean anything. And I thought, why not pull apart one of these? Now, I had this one for some time now. I can't really recall where I got it from, but it's both the DS and the 3DS connector on it. So it's designed for both consoles, or both generations, or both bleh. But you can see why I was really attracted to this one as a knockoff, because, well, basically it's a direct clone. I mean, apart from the, well, Nintendo branding being left off, it's pretty much a copy. Anyway, let's get to pulling this apart. Now, I'll try to take this one apart later just to see what's inside, but I want to see what Nintendo have done. So if I can grab the right screwdriver, get it in properly. Okay, my other two screwdrivers. So I was thinking, and I probably should have looked at these better, that I'd get that type of one that I require, but turns out that was a no. Also, as I understand, don't use these. Can I actually open this? Alright. The fact they're not connected is somewhat concerning to me. And the lack of isolation. Might be able to use those actually. But yeah, honestly, for me, I'd want to see more isolation between the actual contacts. I mean, that's just an air gap, and that can be quite easily overcome. Probably shouldn't put that back together, but whatever. Alright, let's try this again. So let's try to open up the original. That's different. Alright, so the first thing I'm noticing is that it seems to just simply split open. And I think this might be a bit too big for this. So have I got this on camera? Yep. Alright, got those out. Now this one has just one. It's not the tri-wing neither. Just your generic Phillips. So I'm going to try this one. Yeah, that feels better. See, the fact they went to such an extent to directly copy the case makes me wonder whether or not they actually copied the internal logic board. So now I've got those two done, I can remove the cases. So just try to this one. Alright, so that one just pops straight off, and yeah, okay. That is not what I was expecting. That is different. A little bit more needs to be done with this one. So let's see if I can pop it open. Feels like they actually welded this together. Nope, there it goes. Yeah, this is the reason why I pay the Nintendo tax when it comes to power supplies. Oof. That's different. Literally, you can see the difference between the amount of components on... I mean, yikes. Even look at the underside. So, what's a good way of putting it? First off, there's no capacitor here. I don't exactly know what its purpose for on a switch mode power supply is. I'm still trying to learn that. Oh wow, it's actually held in with extra clips. And that's reinforced. No, it's about the same there. So just looking at this to begin with, this is a reused board from what appears to be a USB power supply. Minus the LED, minus this capacitor, which I understand is important for powering this sort of thing. In 2016, so let's see if I can bring this up. Yeah, so this is a fake one, which it looks like it's just some kind of USB power supply. So it's probably going to be 5 volts. Whereas this one is the original Nintendo. And you can see on here it's been soldered and tapped in. I mean, that is going to hold up a hell of a lot better. And looking at all the snot on here, that's going to keep components settled in correctly. So when people knock it about, it's not going to, well, break. You know what, I actually want to find out what this one actually does. So I'm going to do something incredibly dangerous and incredibly stupid. But first, let me see this. Actually, you know what? No, I'm not going to do that. My guess would be This is going to output just 5 volts. That's it. Just your plain old 5 volts. I mean, even the transformer's different. So it looks like this one's missing the capacitor. But you still have diodes, still got everything. Huh. Damn, these are definitely put together in a... Wow. Jeez. I really did not expect that. Alright, let's just put those aside. Now, let's take a look at what is literally this. And I'm going to be surprised if we don't find, if it's not, if what's in here is the same as here, I'm not going to be surprised. So the first thing I want to do is remove that sticker. Now, what I understand about the 3DS console is that it is 5 volt tolerant. I have tried to charge my console up with a USB battery bank, and that does work. But the power's coming from, well, battery bank, and I'm just using a USB to whatever the connector's called. So I'll try to put that back on later, and we have those standard screws, which is excellent. And that's not going to be any good. Oh no, wait, that should be. What the? Are you serious? Yeah. This uses the tri-wing screws. That's not something I expected. I expected your standard Phillips head. Damn. What do you know? Well, this one's a bit more complicated. Let's check out the isolation on this thing. Oh. Okay, so it's a bit bent, which I'm concerned with. Now it's all single-sided, so there's no surface mount components, but that's a bit more well put together than I expected. So you got these isolation tracks between the mains, and then you have 2 diodes, so it's a half-wave rectifier. This is a... Wow, this is it's even got a fuse on it. Hang on. So we've got a soft start, we've got a ceramic resistor. So the Nintendo one doesn't actually have a fuse on it. Oh no, here we go, fuse 1. So you got your fuse here. And this thing, you have an actual fuse. You have half-wave rectifier. Bunch of jelly bean components. It's transistor driven, so it's not IC driven. Octocoupler. Xenodiode. Wow, I mean, dude. I mean, if this was made of plastic instead of this, I think it's fiberglass. Might be. This is not what I was expecting from this thing. I was expecting this thing to be worse than this. This is actually semi-half decent. And the legs are a little close together. It's much more complicated design. I mean, what the hell? Huh. And I think I really had a disliking for this, I mean, the only thing you could really do is modify it so it puts out the correct sort of voltage. But this is far more well constructed than I imagined. I'm actually surprised. They even went to the point about using tri-wing screws. This, I mean, look, the screw that came out of it. Can I focus on that? Nope. So let's just focus on that. No, this is a... I was expecting this one to be the worst, but this is a Chinese knockoff. This is far better. I don't still think I'd fully trust it, but and it's got at least some decent isolation. It's got better isolation than the actual official Nintendo one, since that when you have an isolation track between the active and neutral, and you've got a bit of a space, but there's no actual cutout from the mains to the low voltage. Oh no, here we go. So yeah, main side, low voltage side. So that, I mean, that would help significantly, but you know, having a cutout would just sort of put the icing on the cake. So yeah, this one's more well. Some of it's more well designed than others, but yeesh. I mean, I didn't actually pay for this. This came with a whole bunch of junk that someone had just threw out, I think, or was given to me by someone. I can't recall. Huh. Wow. I wasn't expecting that. Yeah, well, pull things apart, you learn something. As for this knockoff, I mean, what's the voltage on this thing anyway? Tell you what, let's do something dangerous and stupid. So that should slot in there. Oh, what am I doing? That's not right. So put that on there, grab the single screw. You know, BRB. Alright, so at this point I've lost my light, which unfortunately the sun's decided to go and hide. And I forgot to turn the power on. So, well, to my power board that I have over here. So what I'll do is I'll put this back in. I mean, ultimately you'd really want something like this to be, well, properly built and not half-assed, which Nintendo clearly hasn't done, which is good, but they really make their stuff, well, at least the 3DS generation stuff, to be knocked about. I do know the Switch stuff could do with a bit better engineering. Oh, Christ, that was just nuts, that one. So the weight was floating around the inside of the case. Ugh. You know, I could understand a third-party device for it to be that bad, but for something that's officially branded and licensed, I don't care that charging dock for the Joy-Cons and the Pro Controller was made by a third-party company. The fact that it was officially licensed by Nintendo, that's where it sort of hits the... it's like this thing, it's not made by... Or is this made by Nintendo? Oh well. So let's find out what voltages I have on this thing. So if we look at that, and we put it upside down, we have positive and we have negative. I can't plug that in, so not the smartest thing to do, but luckily we don't have to worry about an earth wire. Alright. So this is currently plugged in. I'm doing a video hopefully later on this, getting these scissors all nice and clean. You know, this pair too. Something I've been curious about. chances with that. I really don't. Notice that it's a volts. Yeah, I'm afraid I'm just going to short that out. I really am. How to do this? Well, that'd be too dangerous. I don't... How to do this, how to do this. See, they're not going to be any good. Crap. I don't... You know what, stuff it. I'll just cut it. Probably not the best thing to use those for. I still got to fix these. I got at least from work. They're blunt, they're loose, and I need to ask someone how to show me how to fix them. But turns out they can cut plastic just right. See if I can shimmy this off. Nope. So these scissors should be salvageable, but alright, I didn't like how I did that ground one, or the negative side. So we have that stripped. Thank God I didn't cut this one. Eesh, that would have been nuts. Okay, I'm not going to use scissors for that this time. I'm going to use this instead. Plug this back in. In fact, I'm going to tear that a little bit further apart. Now this is the dangerous part. So that's set to voltage. Test this. Alright, we've got the positive, .23 volts. Let's measure the AC side of things. So that should be the ripple, I think. But yeah, greater than 5 volts. So this would work. Honestly, I just wouldn't recommend using it. Oof. Well, that was different. I wasn't expecting to do that, but you can get there. Always get to some point about pulling something apart and then cutting some wires. So, whoever made this, the company, obviously went to the effort of building the, well, what's a good way of putting it? Building a logic board, sorry, a circuit board specifically for the purpose. In this case, they just simply reused the USB power supply and really piss poorly in that fact. As for Nintendo, they made it so you could bounce off the walls a couple of times, and as long as the case doesn't break, you just plug it in, you're fine. Bloody Nintendo. Alright. I've sort of had my fun with this video, and this has been rather educational. See how Nintendo went about their whole process about making, well, this, or at least whoever was responsible. So I think this was like $15. Honestly, at that price, I think this was like $5. So you're saving $10 on something that could kill your console. Just know, if you're that cheap to buy a fake power brick for your 3DS, then just no. Oh, well, this isn't compatible with, for crying out loud. DSi XL, so it covers almost two generations of DS. There's no reason to buy the cheap ones. Even if you do, be very careful. You buy something that's a knockoff. Don't go for the eBay stuff. Buy it from a local supplier. Buy it from like a game shop or a place that does or was selling this sort of stuff. Don't just like literally buy the cheapest thing you can get your hands on, because that is. Hey. Anyway, thanks for watching. Yibbity blah. Yibbity yibbita.